Good evening of yours. My name is Ngabe Godwin. As usual, your host, Campus Politics, and as well, your favorite host from MUBS TV. I welcome you to this show. This is going to be an interesting educational show. We bring you a lot of educational and economical discussions. And as you can see, I have a gentleman here who was former Minister of Education at Mackay University Business School, and as well who was former President, MUBS Tax Society, and as well who calls himself the Little Tax Man. We are going to share with you different topics about taxes. Like for example, today we are going to talk about the EFRIS. Someone might be asking a lot of questions. What is EFRIS? What is EFRIS? What has it done? You know how it has been affecting our country, where we had a total shutdown of businesses in town in Chikugo, and so many people were complaining about it. But as well, we saw so many people not knowing what EFRIS is, and a number of people calling it syphilis, which is not right. So today I have a little taxman here. He's going to take us through and give us everything about EFRIS. Little taxman.
Yes, boss.
A very good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
How are you feeling? Before we can start off.
I'm feeling okay, but taxes are becoming taxes.
Well, we can't know. Maybe we'll have discussions about that, and you can tell our people why we have so many taxes in this country.
Oh, for starters, as Mr. Easy has introduced me, I'm excited to be here today. It has been a while.
Yeah.
It has been a while, and being at MUBS for those several years, and then someone still values you and calls you back.
Yeah.
For a fantastic education study like this. And yes, I'm privileged to be here. For starters, you talked about EFRIS. EFRIS is one of the systems that was brought up by URA in 2020. But I can assure you, EFRIS was not yet, let's say, in Uganda, but it was already there in the East African community.
Yeah.
Countries like Kenya, Tanzania, etc., Rwanda, they had already this system, but Uganda had not yet implemented this system.
I think that's why people are calling it a tax.
yeah, of course, they are calling it a tax. You know, when we dive into now why they call it a tax, I think it's now more interesting, and it's problematic when it comes to the terminologies they do use to describe this system. But briefly, I can tell you it's not a tax. For starters, it's not a tax. It's just a system that it's used by the government for domestic mobilization. So it's EFRIS in full. What you're supposed to know EFRIS in full, because you see where this conversation starts from is when someone calls it syphilis, when someone calls it a tax, when someone calls it, as you had introduced, someone calls it, omusolo, like that. It's not omusolo. EFRIS in full is electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. There's a reason why it was called a solution. The reason why it was called a solution was simply because they identified a problem. And what was this problem? The problem was, of course, the ultimate was low collection of revenue, but this was as a result, when broken down, as a result of, businesses not keeping their records very well. And therefore, of course, when you don't keep your records very well, it will become hard for the authorities, URA, to definitely assess the real taxes you're supposed to pay to the government. That's why they came up with this solution. But however, as I was telling you, this EFRIS system for Uganda is actually one of the best now in East African community. If not, it's the best, because their features are just they're just up to date, because other countries are coming to benchmark. How does this EFRIS work? How this EFRIS works, it's in a way that it will automatically capture your sales and purchases. Yeah. But however, these sales and purchases are records that they use under a tax called VAT. which is value added tax. So value added tax, in brief, value added tax law was compressed into this EFRIS system. So it entails almost all the laws under the VAT Act. So that's why you see it administers mostly a VAT. They haven't pushed it to income tax yet, as per now. But right now it's still under administrating VAT, because they saw a lot of loopholes. You know, VAT is a tax on consumables. Yeah.
Let's talk about the total shutdown. Should we say it's the way that it was supposed to be administered is not the proper way? Because when you have such a system, you need to explain to wananchi in Chikubo and tell him that, you know, this is going to help you. Not only helping me, but as well it is going to help you, and it's the proper way we can use. How best do you think it was supposed to be administered?
Okay, you see, before I get to that, you see, usually when you, I can give you a scenario. You see, when you want to get a productive or quality item out of a cow, probably you need to feed it with with proper you know, feeds. But if you don't give it the feeds, definitely you won't collect the best out of it. So in Chikubo, the recent, of course, it's not. You see, those days when we were growing up, we used to. Our parents did not study, but you definitely see they are one of the best business people that we had then. But of course, man, technology comes in. World keeps on evolving. World keeps on evolving, and then things keep on becoming tricky, and technology takes over. You see, so when EFRIS was introduced, I think in 2020.
Was it 2020?
It was 2020. That's when it came into the country, and traders, of course, didn't take it serious, and people didn't take it serious. And then, yeah, when you look at the system as per now, you would see, yeah, it's it's manageable, and regardless of its disadvantages, you could clearly see it's a good way, it's a good methodology through which our government can collect its taxes. Now, it is hard to make a local businessman or my brothers there in Chikubo to appreciate this system. But however,
for example, the vendors, this is someone is selling like sweets. Selling. There is a gentleman who said that now for us who are selling plastics, toothbrushes, and how we benefiting from this.
You see, EFRIS, you see, by you asking that, you see, I was still bringing the breakdown of it, but with you asking that, EFRIS has a lot of benefits. You get? EFRIS, the benefits of EFRIS are quite many. One, in case probably you registered for VAT, because that's what I didn't tell you. For you to issue out an EFRIS invoice, there is something called an EFRIS invoice. Now there is also the other one called an e-receipt. Now an EFRIS invoice is issued by someone who has registered for VAT. Now for the sweet gentleman, it depends now. Is he a wholesaler? Is he a retailer? Is he a manufacturer? Or he can't be a manufacturer. But then, for you to actually issue out the EFRIS, the e-invoice, you should have met some requirements of VAT. Yeah. That's why, if you meet the requirements, you apply for VAT. Now, how does it affect this gentleman who is issuing out? Who is selling out sweets? But what I need to understand from what you said, is he selling it in the streets, or does he have a shop?
Like a permanent place. And I think this gentleman, he might have been a vendor, this one. So
on the streets?
Yeah, on the streets.
On the streets, definitely. They don't have to register on EFRIS because one, they don't meet the VAT registration. I mean the VAT threshold, which is 150. But however, they can issue perhaps they can issue out an e invoice. These are for people who don't meet the 150 threshold, which is the sales turnover in a year, or 37.5 in 3 consecutive months. If you don't meet that, probably the gentleman could issue out an and an e-receipt. This would be advantageous to him in the sense that probably he would go to URI and say, you know what, I've made my sales, I've made my, in future, I've made my sales, I've made my purchases, they're here. If I've made them, the net between the two, output and input, the net between the two is what I will claim. URI will be able to give you a refund. I want you to appreciate this, that the importance of EFRIS. The importance of EFRIS is quite diverse. It helps a trader, as I had said, number one, to claim for his refund. Proper records. You see those days you saw those so got banned.
Yeah.
And then probably
so many businesses.
There's theft, there's etc. Yeah. There goes, and most of our businesses are not insured. You get, so meaning if fire caught up anywhere and then your receipts are banned, that is it. Yeah. You get. But when you have EFRIS, whether it bans the, of course, whether it clears the computer or what, the data is still where? Yeah. In the system. You get, it's still in the system. So it becomes easy for you to track what? Track those sales, meaning it's less what? It's less risky to businesses. So the person who is running away in Chikubo, I'm telling you, technology is here and it's here to stay.
And we need to move with technology. Our viewers, please don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget as well to comment and as well follow us on different social media platforms like Twitter, like TikTok. Get us on Facebook and Instagram and all other social media platforms. Yes, Mr. Taxman, maybe as we close up this episode, we need to tell our viewers the main importance, how a businessman would benefit from this system, the EFRIS system. Yes.
As I told you before, I told you about the refunds, proper keeping of records, then a pre-filled tax return. Yeah. But easy, before that, you asked me a question of the Chikubo guys. You see, as far as with the information I have at hand, the Chikubo guys were not complaining of not using the EFRIS system. Exactly. But their problem was, I think the first problem was at the side of the government, that they didn't educate these taxpayers, enough so as for them to implement this system. That is one. Then two, they were saying the manufacturers would actually, instead of distributing, doing their work as manufacturers, give these goods to probably the wholesalers, and then the wholesalers give these goods to probably sell these goods to the retailers, and then the retailers to the final consumer. You see, VAT is designed in a way that the ultimate person to bear the pinch is the final consumer. If you're not the final consumer, you are just an agent of government. Yeah. You just shift VAT from one point to another, That is the chain of distribution. But then, now these manufacturers would actually now get involved in retailing. That is problematic. Why? The reason why we are saying it's problematic is when a manufacturer gets involved in the value chain until where probably, let's say where the retailer is, what is going to happen is, let's assume we have bought an item, we have bought a phone at a price of, let's say, 10,000. And then when the wholesaler sells it when the manufacturer sells it to the wholesaler, the price probably will go to 12,000 or 5,000. Yeah. The profit added, and then VAT keeps on growing. Then also the retailer, when he's selling it to the final consumer, the price keeps on growing. Now, if this manufacturer gets involved and then probably operates as a retailer, meaning the higher chances that the cost of operation, the cost he has invested in the phone is less, isn't it? Yeah. Now, therefore, he's going to charge a lower price. You get? When he charges a lower price, his prices are going to be very competitive. You get? Meaning we as the consumers who are looking for quality and also subsidize what? Prices. Me, I'll go for the cheaper. Where are you leaving the retailer? The retailer is having nothing. So this was the concern of these traders. Because when I tried to look at their argument with Ministry of Finance, I realized that this is one of the keywords. And then they are claiming they didn't give them enough time. I would agree with the taxpayer then, because you see, you're dealing with people who are illiterate.
And so many people that are in school,
you're dealing with people who are illiterate.
have gone to school and started this system.
You need to derive mechanisms on how to make this system easily appreciated by these guys. Let me appreciate URA for one thing, that they have broken down the steps taken to understand this system in the sense that they are using different languages. So meaning even someone who knows someone who is in Luganda, who uses Luganda, someone who comes from, West Nile, probably now will understand, will keep on understanding. But I think URA just needs to give these people time to understand the system. I don't know till when, but everyone cannot understand at the same time. But then they need to come up with an analysis. They need to do a survey. How many people have now appreciated EFRIS? We saw the president. The president, I remember when these traders met the president, and the president also had some challenges there to interpret the law very well. That's why he said he will be advised by the authorities. Nevertheless, perhaps we know with time the EFRIS system will be appreciated by the traders down there, our parents and others. But however, I would say if you don't implement this system, there are huge penalties that come in. There are huge penalties, and I would prefer traders to use this system to keep on, because EFRIS is here to stay. We had the Commissioner General saying the system is here to stay and it's not going anywhere. Perhaps it's not going anywhere if all the East African countries are using this and they are benchmarking.
Yeah, our viewers, this is an interesting topic. We're not only educating you, but as well we are informing you of what is happening in the tax system in the URA. This gentleman has so much knowledge that we need to share with you, and so it is going to be an episode show. So please, for the next episode, we are going to look into this EFRIS system and tell you as well, we shall advise the government on how best we can have this system administered to the traders down there in Chikubu, and how best we can make even a 1 inch down there and to understand what EFRIS is, and to know what he or she can done to learn this system. And as well, we shall tell you other taxes that you need to know in this economical show. Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of today's episode. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this amazing information to our people there, to our parents there who are in Chikubu, and so many others that are not aware of this. I remain Mugabe Godwin. I've been with the taxman, Mr. Akuma Boniface, the little taxman. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. We love you.
Bye-bye.